It is very late. I'm very tired. I have a very, very bad headache, but that's okay because I'm here to make content. So DC's fandom thing was today, their little event, their big event for all the news and announcements and trailers and whatever. We got stuff like we got to see some Black Adam, we got some Shazam 2 news, we saw some stuff from The Flash and some stuff from the Suicide Squad game and the Gotham Knights game. I hate to say it, but overall I actually am kind of disappointed in the event. I really liked last year's event. Because it had a lot of hype and there were a lot of new announcements that were really fun and really cool. But it felt like just this year, like it was basically a lot of the same stuff we already knew. Not a ton of new information. No real crazy announcements aside from some cool comic stuff and some cool animated movie stuff. And we learned some information about the Blue Beetle movie, which I'm actually really excited about. But the Flash trailer didn't really do it for me. Black Adam looks like very hit or miss. The Flash show is getting gold boots now, which that's their big claim to fame. They spent a long time on that. They spent a very long time on the gold boots. So basically this whole DC fandom thing was carried by two things. One, by the Batman trailer, and two, by the cross promotion with Little Caesars.
Do you like pizza?
But no, this Batman trailer is really freaking cool, and I want to talk about it for a little bit. This Batman trailer is probably the most excited I've been in, I would say, exactly a year since the last DC fandom and since the last Batman trailer came out. I've been extremely excited for this movie. This movie has the potential to really like break new ground and really kind of redefine certain things about the superhero genre that I'm really interested in and I'm really looking forward to. God, this movie's gorgeous. God, the shots in this movie, like this shot. Whoa, what in this shot? Oh my God, this movie's so pretty. This movie looks so good. All movies need to look like this. All movies, not just superhero movies, but all movies in general. Oh my goodness. This shot is fucking ripped right out of the Batman 2004, and I love that. It's so cool. I really like the design of a lot of different things in this movie. Notably, I actually like the bat signal design a lot. I like how it's like kind of makeshift, if that makes sense. It almost reminds me of the scene in Batman Begins. That's like the like the first bat signal that they have before they make like a proper one. I really like that. I think that's really, really cool, and I think that fits along with like some of the themes that I think this movie's gonna be going for, which I'll talk about that in a bit. I really love the cameo of Tommy Wiseau in this movie. But no, this is actually kind of cool. I like the way that they're dressing Bruce almost. It's hard to say if he's like in disguise or something, or if he's just like has no sense of fashion, or he has really great sense of fashion. I really love the Batmobile in this movie. I've always really liked when the Batmobile is just a car. It is just a really fast, really strong, cool looking car. And this is totally going for that. It almost gives me like Adam West vibes. The scene where he's just getting railed by bullets. That's like the coolest thing. Everybody's talking about it. It's so cool. It's so very Batman. The thing that's like really exciting me about this trailer is just like, there's so many little things that I'm seeing in it that are setting off all the what's the opposite of a red flag? A green flag? That doesn't make sense. Whatever that is, it's setting off all those for me, and I'm really, really excited. I guess the first thing to talk about is Riddler. The trailer starts with Riddler, played by Paul Dano, and he's basically being caught by the police. I think it's pretty obvious that he wants to get caught. I don't think the Riddler would get caught by the cops accidentally, unless if he's got some fucking riddles he wants to do. Speaking of riddles, though, okay, really quick. That riddle that they put in this trailer, the what is black and blue and dead all over, that is a terrible riddle. That's a bad riddle, Riddler. That's your thing and it sucks. I do really love how in that scene, he has a perfect question mark in his latte. And that speaks a couple things to me. Either one, Riddler is a master barista, master latte artist, which I don't think anybody's talking enough about. Or two, he put his fingers in there and that's how he drew it. And that's... one of those is more disgusting than the other, and I'm going to let you figure out which one it is. But Riddler interests me a lot in this movie. Basically, if you haven't seen my last video, the last trailer gave me a lot of vibes that they're going to be going in an interesting direction with the character. Namely, it really looks like Riddler is going to be a serial killer that is targeting specifically corruption in Gotham. I get those vibes from the first trailer with like the no more lies stuff on the first victim and the fact that he seems to be targeting politicians and like he wants to tell Batman something. I was getting the vibe that Riddler knows who Bruce Wayne is. Riddler knows that, spoilers, Bruce Wayne is Batman, and he's trying to tell Bruce something, and he's trying to tell Bruce, my theory would be tell Bruce that he's not approaching corruption, that he's not tackling corruption in a proper way as Batman, and that his mission to fix Gotham is not properly working because he's attacking symptoms, but he's not actually fighting the disease, if that makes sense. That's a really interesting direction for Riddler, if that's the way they go. I kind of like the idea of being like, not necessarily sympathetic, because I don't want to sympathize with the serial killer. You can quote me on that. But it is interesting to go kind of almost a Killmonger route of having the villain want the hero to be better, and the hero being like, oh yeah, you suck. You're an asshole. You're a villain who kills people, but you do kind of have a point. And I think that would be really interesting to do with the Riddler and do with Batman. And I think like a really strong way that they could do this, and I was getting those vibes in the first trailer, and I'm getting those vibes as well in this trailer, like that web on the ground. It says sins of my father. That gives me vibes that they're going to be going in the direction that like the Telltale games went in, where Bruce realizes that his parents, the Waynes, Thomas and Martha, the people that have defined his mission, have defined his goal as Batman, are in fact not perfect people. The Telltale games did that, and that has been my favorite addition to the Batman lore in decades. Like, I guess the only thing that comes close is like the Court of Owls. It forces Bruce to recontextualize his mission and what he's doing and why he's doing it. And I think something like that would be really fun for this movie, and it would add a lot of layers that we haven't seen in a Batman movie before, and it'd be really cool and it'd be really fun. I really enjoy that. The other thing I noticed with Riddler that interests me a lot is they're not showing his face. We know Paul Dano is cast as the Riddler, right? So I find it really interesting that we haven't seen his face at all. You know, I feel like there's got to be some reason for it. Maybe they think that it's like a spoiler about who the Riddler is, or there's something with his face, like maybe he's like scarred or something. I don't think that's the case, because in this scene we do see Paul Dano's face reflected in the window, and he looks relatively normal. He looks like a serial killer. He looks terrifying, but he doesn't look like disfigured or have any scarring or anything. He just looks like terrifying Paul Dano, which I guess that's scary enough. I'm interested as to why they are doing this. I have this thought that maybe they're going to be doing some crazy twist with it. Maybe he is scarred on his face, and we just can't see it in that reflection, and it's a result of something that his parents did, or is a result of something like that Batman did, or Batman's lack of attacking the corruption did, or something like that. Because based on what we've seen, I actually do think they are going to go the route of Bruce recontextualizing his mantle and the mantra and the mission and stuff like that. Longtime viewers of the channel will know that my relationship with the Batman character has been kind of interesting, or it's kind of like a love-hate relationship. I really love the Batman character when he's written a specific way. My favorite version of Batman is the one from the 2004 animated series, where he's a little bit more youthful, a little bit more positive, a little bit more hopeful. And however, it has always kind of felt like that's not the way that DC wants to write him, because that's not like the popular way. Popular Batman tends to be the one that like constantly breaks bones and leaves people like bloody in an alley and stuff like that. And that can be interesting. It very well can be, but that just doesn't do it for me. And you might be saying like, oh, he's really violent in these trailers. He's beating people to a bloody pulp. You know, how can you enjoy this? How can this be a movie that you're excited for? Firstly, because I'm a hypocrite and my opinions are never ever consistent, ever. But the main reason is I actually believe that is going to be intentional. I think the movie is going to frame Bruce's violence and Bruce's way of being Batman and way of being a hero as a flaw and as a thing he has to overcome. There's a lot of talk about fear in this trailer. There's a lot of talk about the bat signal specifically not being just a signal, but being a warning to criminals, and he exists to scare people. That is interesting and that is fun. We always love to see that. But I've also really liked it when the bat signal is a message of hope. You know, it tells the people of Gotham like, hey, someone is watching over you. You know, things are going to be okay. Because Gotham isn't just criminals. Gotham is regular people, too. Bruce is very young in this movie. He's very young. He's very naive. He's very hurt. And he's trying to channel this pain into something that he thinks is productive. You know, he thinks is something that's going to help the city. And I think the Riddler is going to show him, like, hey, you are not helping. You're making things worse. And also, here's all this corruption you're not even fucking dealing with, you know? And I really think that that's the directions they're going to be going in this movie. In that scene, in the prison cell where Batman and Riddler are, like, staring each other down, Bruce is, like, really trying to intimidate Riddler right now. He's pounding the glass, he's screaming at him, and Riddler is, like, not having it. Riddler is not flinching. Riddler is not scared of him. And Bruce is, like, terrified. Like, you can see in his eyes, and maybe I'm just projecting, but, like, I can see in Robert Pattinson's performance, he's like, fuck, I only know how to get information through intimidation. I only know how to be scary Batman. When that doesn't work, what am I? What am I doing? And I think you can also see that with how Catwoman is in this trailer. Catwoman, played by Zoe Kravitz, she is gonna be fucking awesome. She looks so cool. She looks really awesome. I'm really, really excited for what they do with this character. Mainly, like, the thing with her that, like, stood out to me is there's this scene where Batman is just beating the shit out of Riddler. He is pounding the fuck away at, we assume it's Riddler. You can barely see it. There's a guy in the Riddler costume It could very well be somebody dressed as Riddler, which that would be wild. But he is pounding away at this guy. Basically, he's beating him to a pulp. And we see Selina, and she is terrified. And I think this movie is going to show Bruce see that fear that he's instilling and realize, fuck, that's not a good thing to do, because all I'm doing is traumatizing more people. All I'm doing is creating more Bruce Waynes. I'm basically just Joe Till. And the other, arc I think that they're gonna do is it's more involved with the corruption side of what I think Riddler's doing. We see a lot of shots of Batman running away from the cops in this movie. And specifically, there's a shot with him with his wingsuit bat glider, which is really fun, and he goes really fast and I like that. And he jumps off a building and he's running from the police there. And then in the first trailer, there's like a fight at GCPD. It looks like there's this shot in this trailer where we see Gordon and a bunch of GCPD officers behind him. We see them train their guns on somebody, and from the way Gordon looks, I am convinced that Gordon is turning on Batman in this scenario. My guess, and this is what I would be really interested to see, because I think this could be really cool, and this might be controversial or whatever, but I think this could really work as a story and it'd be really fresh for a Batman narrative. My theory is that I think Riddler is going to basically reveal some sort of corruption in GCPD, reveal that there is something going on, maybe they're involved in human trafficking or something, something really fucked up like that, really dark, really fucked up. Bruce is going to be like, hey Gordon, let's fix this, let's stop this corruption and shit. And Gordon's like, no, and turns on Batman, trains his gun on him, and they break their bond with it, because the first trailer shows them working together, and I think the beginning of the movie they're going to be working together, and this is going to break those ties and force Bruce to be like, oh shit, I'm fucked. But it would definitely be controversial, but I think it could really, really work. And it could set up a lot of interesting dynamics, both for this movie, for future movies. I think the GCPD show is going to be a prequel, so maybe not something for that, but maybe they could set that up or something. The concept of Gordon being a corrupt cop is insane. Not everybody's going to vibe very well with that. So the comments in this video are going to be a nightmare. But I think that could really work both from a narrative perspective and from a recontextualizing the character to the mainstream audience in a modern way, if that makes sense. And that kind of lines up again with the whole concept of corruption and Bruce kind of having to recontextualize his life. First, he realizes that his parents aren't the people they said they were. The people that the core of his mission being not who he thought they were, not being the saints that he expected them to be, and turning out to be, part of the mob or involved with something, And then now essentially his only friend in the world at this point also turning out to be not the saint he thought he was. And I think that really hard life change and that recontextualization of his mission and himself and his allies and him as Batman could work really well with what I'm talking about the whole fear thing, and about Bruce having to re-understand about how he approaches his mission. What's really interesting to me about this trailer is this trailer and the last trailer both have scenes where somebody asks Batman, who is he? Who are you, Bruce? First trailer is the guy at the train station, and in this trailer is Catwoman. My theory is that train station scene is at the beginning of the movie, just because it makes sense. It doesn't really line up with visually with where everything else is. In that scene, he very clearly responds to that question by beating the shit out of a guy and saying, I'm vengeance, in a very dark and angry and hateful way. It meant to intimidate and scare people, threaten, horrify, traumatize people into not committing crimes. And you see that fear. You see that fear in the eyes of that kid who was played by Tim Drake from Titans, who I will continue to call Tim Drake until we get a name for that character. And then in this trailer, he's also asked who he is. And then the trailer with its editing responds again with, I'm vengeance. I genuinely believe that Bruce's response to who are you is going to be a major part of his arc. At the same time as he scares criminals and is the Batman and is scary, he also has to say things are going to be okay to the people of Gotham, because there are people in Gotham. There are innocent people and they're worthy of being saved. The people of Gotham don't deserve to be punished. I think Bruce has to realize that. And I think it could be interesting to visualize that through the use of the Batsuit and the symbol. I really like the Batsuit. I really like the symbol that they're going with. And I think there's the theory that the symbol is made out of the gun that killed his parents. There's nothing confirmed about that, but that could be cool. That's from the Kevin Smith Detective Comics 1000 issue. But I genuinely think that throughout the movie, as Bruce makes this realization and Bruce makes this understanding of him as a character, and as a symbol, basically, he has to make a symbol of his own. And in the behind the scenes video thing that they released before the trailer, we saw a little snippet of his journal, which the journal is going to be the way that they do the narration through this movie. And in there you see sketches of bat logos, of bat symbols, and they don't look like anything that we see on the chest or on the bat signal. They look more like the logo in the actual Batman logo, you know, the thing on the title. There's writing in the journal next to all the symbols that says like it has to be a clear shape of a bat, you know, and that makes me feel like the symbol is now very important to him. And so I believe that as Bruce goes through this arc, and as Bruce goes through what he goes through and goes through this change and this recontextualization of himself, and so I think as he goes through that arc, he would change the symbol, and he would basically like make it more of a bat looking thing, or maybe add like the yellow outline. I don't really know how I feel about the oval in the suit, but it could be cool. It could work. And I could see him having this realization in the scene, like the red scene. Batman lights a flare and he's walking out he's walking through this like flood, and he's being followed by what looks like a massive group of people. I've heard some people say that he's like escorting cops, which again, with my theory that I think his relationship with the police is going to be broken off in this movie. I don't think that's the direction they're going to go. I instead think that this is Bruce making this realization of, I have to save people. Maybe there's like a group of people that are trapped with like human trafficking or kidnapping victims or something like that. And Bruce has to walk them through these dark flooded tunnels, maybe even through the Batcave. That could be interesting if that's what that is. He has to guide them through and save them as a savior, as a beacon of hope. And I think that arc being visualized through a symbol would be really, really cool and be really interesting. And then with all of this, and with all of the who are you and the I'm vengeance and all that stuff, I really think that the movie is going to start with Batman being asked who he is, responding with I'm vengeance, I'm angry, I fear me, I'm threatening, I am the night, I am darkness, you know? And then I think at the end of the movie, after he goes through this change, after he gets potentially a new logo, a new symbol, someone's going to ask him it again, whether it be Selina or Alfred or, you know, someone else. Or maybe Tim Drake comes back in the third act or something. That'd be cool. That'd be fun. Nice little callback. And I think it'd be really cool if when Bruce is asked that, after his growth and after his change, he looks up and he just says, I'm the Batman. This movie has a lot of potential. There is so much fucking potential with this movie. It is insane. It is absurd. I genuinely think there has been a little bit of oversaturation with superhero content as of late. I'm not going to blame any specific company. I'm not going to blame any specific directors or anything, because that's going to be a problem. But there have been a lot of superhero movies, and I am concerned that the fad is going to wear off pretty soon, and the genre is going to go the way of the Western. It's not the end of the world if superhero movies go away, but I think the characters mean a lot and represent a lot and can be used in very interesting ways. And I think the way to prevent that burnout and prevent audiences from just getting sick of it is to do what this movie is doing. This movie is not a traditional superhero movie. This movie is not an action movie with you know, a basic formulaic structure, or a CGI battle with a gray monster in the third act or a blue beam in the sky. This movie is a crime thriller noir mystery. At its core, that's the whole point of it. It's Zodiac, it's Seven. It has more in common with those movies than it does something like Ant-Man and the Wasp or something, you know? And I think it is that use of the genre that is going to save the medium of superhero movies. Because superhero movies are not a genre. Superhero movies are a platform to use the idea of a superhero, use the idea of somebody with power in a costume, you know, an iconography symbol, to tell a story, to tell an interesting story that can say something about society, because we live in a society, or inspire people, or whatever, you know? And I feel like as of late, people are forgetting that, and people seem to think that superhero movies are just all action movies, you know, with the same structure, same plot, same final boss fight at the end, yada, yada, yada. People are not getting burnt out by superheroes. People are getting burnt out by the fact that every superhero thing has kind of been similar. And I think that's why something like WandaVision was actually really successful this year, because WandaVision wasn't a traditional superhero thing. It used superhero characters, it used existing MCU characters and stuff, but it was essentially a horror drama type show. You know, it was a thriller. And up until the finale, it didn't have crazy action scenes. It didn't have anything like that. And it was so fresh to a lot of people, and I think that's why people were so attached to it. That, and I think that this movie, and I think even something like Logan. Logan is a really good example. Logan is a Western. Not everything has to be an action movie. Some things can be Westerns. Some things can be noir thrillers. Fuck, we need a superhero rom-com. I think that the Batman has this potential to remind audiences, like, hey, movies can be movies, and they're not all superhero things. They're not all superhero things are the same. They can be these basically like artistic director filled visions that tell a really unique and interesting story, and I'm really, really excited for that. There is so much potential with this movie, and I'm so excited. And like, you could say that I'm setting my hopes too high, but like, every ounce of my excitement comes from something tangible and comes from something real. And I'm really, really, really excited for the Batman. It's gonna be really cool. At the very least, it'll be a cool fucking movie. Okay, it is almost 1 a.m, so I gotta stop. But I could talk about the Batman for hours, because this trailer is great. This trailer looks awesome. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been TroyBoy17 coming at you live. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Leave in the comment down below what you think of the Batman trailer, and if you're excited for that. Special thanks to Alto the Sting, Cassidy Bond, Connor Langell, Iron Ninja, Jonah, Logan Triplet Films, Lord Corbs, Red Deads, Sam Wright, Spider Storm, and Tyler Goodrich for being spectacular fanboys on my Patreon. This has been TroyBoy17 coming to you live. Remember that satire is meant to ridicule power. Be responsible, everybody, and I will see you around.